I, 28 male, have been dating my girlfriend Sarah, 26 female, for about a year, and things have been going great between us. However, recently Sarah asked me to do something that made me very uncomfortable. We plan to meet her parents for the first time next week, and she asked me to lie about my job. I'm a graphic designer and I love what I do. It's a fulfilling career that allows me to be creative and work on various interesting projects. But Sarah thinks her parents will look down on my job because it's not as high-paying or prestigious as some other professions. Sarah comes from a family of professionals. Her father is a lawyer and her mother is a doctor. She's worried they won't take me seriously or approve of our relationship if they know what I really do. So she asked me to tell them that I'm a lawyer. She even went as far as coaching me on some legal jargon and giving me a brief background story to go along with the lie. I refused because I didn't want to start our relationship with her parents based on a lie. I told her that if they can't accept me for who I am, then they should know the truth now rather than later. Sarah got really upset and said that I was being stubborn and unreasonable. She thinks I'm making this a bigger deal than it needs to be and that I do not understand how important her parents' approval is to her. She's been distant and cold since our argument, and it's making me question whether I'm in the wrong here. On one hand, I understand that she wants her parents to like me and support our relationship, but on the other hand, asking me to lie about something as fundamental as my job is crossing a line. It's not just a white lie, it's a significant part of who I am and what I do. So, am I the idiot for refusing to lie about my job to impress my girlfriend's parents? Not the idiot. If her dad is a lawyer and you say you're a lawyer, the first thing he'll do on the following morning is look you up in the big book, the bar directory and lawyer finder, and guess what? You aren't in it. You are then either a liar or a fraud, neither of which will impress him. If you need to lie, always lie with some element of truth. Think of the best graphic design and mention you were involved. 100% this. Any professional is going to suss out someone pretending to be that profession in about 2 or 3 minutes of conversation. Sarah has obviously grown up with the understanding that her parents' approval means that they are validating her life choices. Sorry, she's over 25. She's an adult, and the only validation that matters is hers and yours. What does she think? Her parents don't have access to the internet? That her father, the lawyer, hasn't already Googled you? Good grief, her plan is just so painfully idiotic. Why not choose an accountant or something they aren't experts in the field of? This is the most half-baked idea ever. What's her plan going forward? Will you lie to her parents now and keep up the lie through the years, marriage, kids, etc.? It's a half-baked plan because she's embarrassed about your job. Completely unjustifiably, you have a profession you enjoy. If you see a future in this relationship, you must be honest with her parents. She sounds terrible, pushy, elitist, and not very bright. You can do better and you deserve a person who's proud of you. What's wrong with graphic design? Sounds plenty fancy to me. OP, step back. Things are in fact not going as great as you seem to believe. She's essentially saying you aren't good enough. Walk away now. Let her find her hotshot lawyer boyfriend. Update. Reading all these comments is making me second guess everything and it sucks. Sarah works in marketing and makes less than me, which adds to the irony. She's been upfront about the fact that her parents are pretty set on the whole doctor-lawyer thing for stability. Also, she swears she's not lying to them yet. She's still my girlfriend and I still love her, but now I wonder if she loves me back. This whole situation is making me feel really confused. I didn't even think it was that big of a deal before hearing what everyone had to say. Earlier, my only concern was the lying. Now, after seeing people here saying things like she doesn't respect me, she's embarrassed and ashamed of me, she's a serial liar, she's insane, a fraud, manipulative and deceitful, it feels like it goes much deeper than it looks. Anna and I are both 28 females. She's getting married in late August. I was invited as a guest, not in the wedding party. I don't know exactly how it started, but since middle school I prefer dressing in black. Now, as an adult, my wardrobe is about 90% black. 5% grey or ivory, and 5% colourful grandpa sweaters I like to wear at home. I prefer not to buy new clothing for weddings or other events if I can avoid it because my job requires a lot of parties and events, and I already own too many dresses. I will if I really need to, but it's rare that black is inappropriate for events I attend or my social circle. The invitation says cocktail attire. Anna told me, cocktail attire, no black. None of my grey dresses were suitable for evening cocktails, and the cream or white ones are obviously out, so I started preliminary searching last week. I texted our mutual friend Gina to ask if she'd thought about it yet, and she sent me several pictures of dresses she was considering. Several of them were black or predominantly black. I was surprised, so I asked her, "Isn't it no black?" She said not that anyone had told her. I thought that was weird, so I texted 2 other friends and guests and asked if they'd been told no black, and they both said no. So I texted Anna and asked. She texted back, "LOL, you always wear black. I just want to see you do something different for once." I asked why she didn't just talk to me about it. She got defensive and did the "it's my wedding and this is what I want" thing. I got annoyed and stopped responding. I gave myself a day to think about it and then called her to withdraw my RSVP. She got very upset and made snide comments about, "I should have just let her know if I couldn't afford it," which was really obnoxious because I'm not rich or anything, but a new dress is a really petty expense and can't afford is just rude. I was going to buy one with no issue until I realised it was a just for me dress code, and now I don't want to. I don't like the idea of being given my own separate rules in any circumstances, and yeah, it might be a silly rule that wouldn't hurt me, but she still tried to trick me. I ended up just hanging up on her, and that's likely now a dead friendship that won't be revived. I haven't run around posting about it or anything, but it spread to a few mutual friends, and some of them have texted me for clarification on what happened. Most of them say they get it, but then ask me how I can throw away a 10-year friendship over spending $150 on some clothes, so I don't know if they really do get it. But it's caused me to doubt myself a lot, so now I'm asking strangers, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The reality here is that the situation is less about the dress and more about how Anna went about it. If she wanted you to wear something a little more brightly coloured and festive for whatever reason, she could have had a mature adult conversation head-on with you. Instead, she decided to try to be sneaky, which is a super childish way to handle it, and then decided to throw your finances in your face, which she may or may not know anything about. Weddings are expensive, and most people recognise that, so they don't ask their guests to wear anything crazy. How can I throw away a 10-year friendship over spending $150 on some clothes? How can she disrespect a friend and throw away a 10-year friendship over wanting her to wear something different for once? Wedding requirements are getting more unreasonable, and bridezillas are getting more unhinged. It strikes me as very strange that the bride just wanted this person to dress differently from how they normally do. It's like she just wanted to try to get away with it to see if she could, and then she was crappy about it. It feels like a bit of a tic-tac thing to end a friendship over, but lots of people have people in their lives who are just friends of convenience. OP, someone using their wedding day to try and manipulate you isn't your friend. Either she wants you there as you are, comfortable or not. It's that simple. My husband's parents live out of state and he wants to take our toddler back to see his mom and dad for 5 days. He knows my new job is demanding and that I must be very selective about the days I take off and for how long, so the assumption is that I won't be able to join. To preface, we've already visited his family twice out of town, requiring plane flights, and we'll also be going back to see them for Thanksgiving. He started by doing the right thing and asking me how I felt about it. I let him know I was a little nervous since I've never been away from my son for that long, and that this was even more unique because it would require solo plane travel and would be staying in a house that our son isn't familiar with, without his mom. My husband's parents are responsible and I don't think there'll be any issues. However, this is my firstborn baby, and the idea of him travelling without me with my young son doesn't sit well. No reason other than that. After sleeping on it, I suggested today that I would talk to my boss and figure out a way to make it work with my job so that I could go along with it, and that would be the compromise to ensuring my husband and son got to see their grandparents, and I would be at ease because I'd be there. My husband straight up said no, I'm not allowed to go because he knows I really don't want to and that my presence would ruin his trip, knowing that the only reason I came was to feel less anxious about not being away from my son. He also threw in that my sporadic 24-hour overnight work trips were basically the exact same thing as him taking my son away to a new and out-of-state place, LOL, and that I shouldn't have any reason to have anxiety or worry about him. We got into a huge fight and I told him he's not allowed to take our son out of state alone then if this is how he's going to react to me. Am I overreacting with my anxiety and not feeling comfortable sending my son off for the first time without me in 18 months? I thought my solution was a good one by offering to come, however, apparently it wasn't. You are the idiot. As a toddler, he's old enough for a solo trip with his dad, OP. I feel you would be insulting your husband to say he's not allowed. If a man said that to a woman, it would be unforgivable. Same goes the other way. Exactly this. This is a simple case of a helicopter mom who can't let her child get out of her sight for 5 minutes without screaming. Unless there's some legitimate safety concern or custody issue, hubby may try to move back to his parents. Be grateful your husband is not one of those dads who views babysitting their child rather than parenting. The anxiety is your own, OP. Work on that. I'm 25 female, married to my amazing husband, 27, and we've been together for 3 years, married for 1. Everything has been great, except for one glaring issue. My mother-in-law, 55. From the very beginning, she's been overbearing. She has this habit of calling my husband every single day to check in. It started as a mild annoyance, but has since escalated to an unbearable level. She insists on knowing every detail about our lives, from our finances to our weekend plans. She even gave my husband a key to her house, just in case he ever needs to come home. Recently, it all came to a head when she showed up unannounced at our house while we were having a quiet dinner. She let herself in, we had given her a spare key for emergencies, a big mistake, and immediately started picking everything apart. She criticised my cooking, saying it was no wonder my husband looked so miserable with the garbage I serve. I had made butter chicken and homemade naan dish. She even inspected the house, pointing out imaginary dirt and telling me she should teach me how to clean properly. Then she made snide comments about our finances, implying that I was spending all of my husband's money on useless things and that I was a gold digger. She even suggested that my husband consider separating our finances to protect himself. My husband and I make a relatively similar amount of money. She went on to say that I was lucky to have landed her son and that I should be grateful he didn't leave me for someone more suitable. She made it clear that she thought I wasn't good enough for him and even said she had a nice girl from her church in mind who would make a better wife. I know the woman that my mother-in-law is talking about. My mother-in-law introduced me to her once and she's everything my mother-in-law wanted for my husband, including having a the man provides and the woman stays home mindset. I reached my breaking point and told her, very bluntly, that she needed to stop meddling in our marriage and that her constant interference was making things difficult for us. She burst into tears, called me disrespectful and stormed out. My husband is upset with me for hurting his mom's feelings and thinks I overreacted. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You don't have an amazing husband. You have a mama's boy. Good luck to you, because for as long as you're with him, she's going to verbally abuse you and he'll be mad that you won't just take it. I wonder if he would be so quiet if your father marched into your house and insulted every single thing about him, then you told him off for being upset. Somehow, I doubt it. Oh girl, you have a husband problem. In one single visit, she comes in unannounced, trashing your cooking, housekeeping skills and financial situation and urging him to go be with someone else. Meanwhile, your husband does what? Sits there like the spineless jellyfish he seems to be and does nothing? How do you think she gets all the details of your life? He's telling her. You're delusional if you think your husband is amazing. He's a passive idiot who sits by while his wife gets verbally pummeled by his precious mommy. I tell her she can have him and kick him the heck out. A man like that who can't defend his wife is not worth fighting over. I, 33-year-old male, somewhat recently became single after a 4-year relationship ended. Since then, I haven't been too aggressive about getting back out there, but 3 months ago I downloaded Hinge and have had some conversations, taken a few women out for drinks, and had a couple of casual flings, but nothing serious so far. This past weekend I was hanging out with some friends. They asked me if I was dating again yet, and I told them what I said above. They were asking about how things have changed since I was last single, and one thing I mentioned was that a lot more of the people my age were now parents, so avoiding that is harder. I also have to get used to a bigger age range to date, whereas before, in every relationship I've had, we've been the same age. My friend Mandy, 32, who's separated from her husband and has 2 kids, seemed offended and asked me to elaborate. I told her that I'd changed my range to 26 to 33, where I would have kept it to maybe 1 or 2 years. She told me this was shallow and that 26-year-olds don't want to date someone like me anyway, and I should just suck it up and realise there's nothing wrong with being a stepdad. I have nothing against single moms, this isn't one of those posts, but I was just like, nah, I've had no issue with matching and getting younger women to want to go out with me, nothing against single parents, but I'll happily just date younger since I don't want to sign up for that. She seemed mad and was short with me for the rest of the day. Later, our mutual friend Dan, whose wife is good friends with Mandy, told me that she told his wife that I was being an idiot and that my whole attitude was crappy. Am I really the idiot for that? I wasn't putting down single parents at all. I was raised by a single mom and have a ton of respect for them. It's just not what I'm looking for, and it hasn't been difficult so far avoiding the situation. Mandy sounds bitter. You have a dating preference and no one can dictate it for you. If having a preference for dating someone is shallow, then every single person is shallow. She didn't like your dating boundaries and insulted you for them, which was wholly unnecessary. Your friend is delusional and insecure, not the idiot. Kinda. More than OP's friend is unhappy that other guys may be thinking the same thing and that may shape her dating life now that she's single again. That's not necessarily insecurity. Dating as a single parent isn't easy. Exactly, she's bitter because she's one of the profiles you generally skip past once you see the "I have kids" part. So she's frustrated by her own situation and taking that out on you. You don't want someone else's kids and it's your right to choose. Keep doing what you're doing as long as you're enjoying yourself.